Hey everybody, today we've got a hypothetical 2024 presidential matchup, and it's going to be Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for the Democrats and Vivek Ramaswamy for the Republicans. This was suggested to me a long time ago in the comments, so I finally got around to it, and I think Kennedy was suggested as a Democrat, not an independent, so that's how I'm going to go through this. So there's a couple of different ways you could look at this. You could say that Kennedy, he got a lot of the establishment Democrats mad at him by running against Biden, and then becoming an independent, and then getting embraced a little bit more by the political right. So therefore, Kennedy's support with Democrats would completely plummet, and Ramaswamy is going to win this thing easily. I think Ramaswamy is going to tap into a lot of cultural populism. I know some people don't think that has much value. It's all about economic populism. I think both are completely important, and Ramaswamy is going to get a lot of the culture. Now, he's not going to be right on everything, and also with economics, it's probably going to be a little bit of a weak spot unless he comes out with some sort of a universal healthcare policy and embraces unions. He speaks well, but his inexperience could end up hurting him. Now, Kennedy, I think, is going to get more disaffected voters. Those are Democrats that think the Democratic Party has left them. And some Republicans, including some from the base, I think are going to come over and support Kennedy because he does have some sort of an anti-establishment populist appeal. Now, there's a lot of unknowns. You could say that the establishment would try to sabotage Kennedy because they're mad that he went up against Biden. That's a possibility. Then Kennedy's going to do worse. I think most of the hardcore Trump voters are going to come out for Ramaswamy because he's mostly a younger version of Trump. Some Democrats are going to be mad about Kennedy and his position on vaccines. Some progressives are going to be mad about his support for Israel. There's so many different factors. You could come up with any map you'd like. I try to be fair and even everything out. My impression is that Ramaswamy is going to have a lot less crossover appeal in this particular matchup. Kennedy's going to do better with independents. He's going to do better in the suburbs. He does have that Kennedy name, but I think Ramaswamy in this matchup is going to speak to a narrower slice of the electorate. Even with his America First policies and going after big tech, in the end, I think more of the media is going to portray him as scary. I assume both of them are going to be maligned and have to speak to what their fringes are doing. But once all the dust settles, I think Kennedy is going to have more success. So let's go through these states. We'll try to breeze through this and we could talk a little bit more about it at the end. I'm going to start in Alaska, and I think that would get closer, but I think Ramaswamy still wins it by a low single-digit margin. Hawaii, Washington, Oregon, and California, they're going to stay easily over 10 and safe for Kennedy. Nevada, I think that's easily going to go to Kennedy by a likely margin. Idaho is going to be safe for Ramaswamy. Utah, I don't think they're going to be a big fan of Vivek here. I think enough are going to see Kennedy as kind of an independent candidate. That's going to get this down to a likely for Ramaswamy. Arizona is going to be just about 5 to 6, likely for Kennedy. Up to Montana, here's a state that Kennedy is going to have more of an independent libertarian type of appeal. That is going to cause this to get narrow. Ramaswamy is still going to win it, but it's only going to be by a lean margin. Wyoming, safe for Ramaswamy. Colorado and New Mexico, safe for Kennedy. North and South Dakota is safe for Ramaswamy. Nebraska at large, that's going to dip down to a likely for Ramaswamy. The 1st district, likely for Ramaswamy. The 2nd district, likely for Kennedy. 3rd district, safe for Ramaswamy. Kansas, likely for Ramaswamy. Oklahoma, red state, safe for Ramaswamy. How about in Texas? This one I went back and forth on. I think once everything evens out, Kennedy is going to have enough crossover appeal to make this extremely close. So you could have it go either way, but eventually I settled on a tilt for Kennedy. Up to Minnesota, I think that's going to just crack double digits and go safe for Kennedy. Iowa is going to get down to leans for Ramaswamy. Missouri, likely for Ramaswamy. Arkansas, Louisiana, safe for Ramaswamy. Now we go up to Wisconsin. That's going to be about 4.5 to 5 points. It's close to likely, but I'm going to still say lean for Kennedy. Illinois, safe for Kennedy. Michigan, that's going to be over 5, likely for Kennedy. Indiana, that's going to be high single digits and go likely for Ramaswamy. Now we've got the red states, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, still 2 red. I think they're going to be over 10 for Ramaswamy. Now we've got Florida. Here I think Ramaswamy is going to have a little bit more appeal given the rightward drift of the state. I do think it would be very competitive though. I can't count Kennedy out entirely here. So it's up for discussion, but I went with a tilt for Ramaswamy. North to Georgia. Here the Atlanta suburbs, I think are going to be more open to Kennedy. The red Trump counties, like with all the other ones, I think Kennedy is going to peel off a little bit of that vote. So this is going to go likely for Kennedy. South Carolina, this is one that's going to narrow up a little bit, and it's actually going to get down to a likely for Ramaswamy. North Carolina, that's going to swing several points to the left. It's close to likely, but it's still going to be leans for Kennedy. If we go to Ohio, this is Ramaswamy's home state, but I don't think Kennedy's going to do too bad here. Ramaswamy is still going to win the state by a mid-single digit lean margin. West Virginia is safe for Ramaswamy. If we go to the northeast corner, Maine at large, that's going to be safe for Kennedy. The 1st district, very safe for Kennedy. The 2nd district, this would be very close. This district has drifted toward the right, but Kennedy I don't think is is a terrible fit here. I think it would be close, but I have Ramaswamy getting it by a tilt margin. Next door in New Hampshire, this is going to be low double digits, safe for Kennedy. Now the blue states, Vermont, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. No surprise, safe for Kennedy. The next state is Pennsylvania. That I think is going to be over 5 again, and it's going to go likely for Kennedy. Let's take a look at the last state. That's Virginia. Here in Northern Virginia, the D.C. suburbs, they might not be as fond of Kennedy here. They do want an establishment Democrat, and Kennedy has kind of tainted that brand. So that might hold him back a little bit, but I don't think those voters are going to swing toward Ramaswamy. I think most of them are just going to stay home. That's going to make this margin probably still high single digits and likely for Kennedy. So the final total is a landslide. It's 359 for Kennedy, 179 for Ramaswamy. So I laid everything out toward the beginning. I think Kennedy is going to get more crossover vote from independents and some Republicans. I don't think very many Democrats are going to cross over and support Ramaswamy. The ones that aren't thrilled with Kennedy, I think, are just going to stay home. But at the same time, this is difficult to predict because Kennedy no longer ran as a Democrat. At least at one point in this matchup, he's a Democrat again. But I do think it would get closer. So again, the establishment type of Democrats are probably not going to be a big fan of Kennedy. But at the same time, I think a lot of his views still align with most establishment Democrats. He might have a small handful of views that don't fit neatly into a box. So that's going to have appeal with independents. It's going to have appeal with some Trump voters, as well as disaffected voters in general. So that's why I think Kennedy is able to do about 5 points better than most other Democrats would in an even matchup. Ramaswamy's base of support here is just narrower than Kennedy's. But it all depends on how they run their campaigns. It all depends who they pick as their running mate. There's a ton of different issues out there. They're going to have to answer for everything, and nobody's going to be able to guess exactly what they would do. This is just to spark some conversation. I try to think about the two candidates and the different states, and I try to do it as fairly as I can. So you could go on forever about this, but I'm going to leave it there. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about this matchup? Do you agree this is how it would go, or do you see it completely different? Would Kennedy be a complete pariah with the Democrats and Ramaswamy sweeps all the states? Let me know down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.